main joke might only be a darts match, but us British has still got to try and hammer these Germans.
What for?
Because they're the bastards that bombed me granny.
This is the story of Auf Wiedersehen Pet, the drama about a gang of British workmen abroad whose 16 million viewers took to their hearts.
They were just fantastically drawn characters, you know, beautifully written.
We loved letting these wild and wonderful personalities into our living rooms.
They're ordinary people doing just really ordinary things, like, scratching his answer. Everyone does that, don't they?
And the show ran for 4 series, taking the characters from Tyneside to Spain, the East Midlands to Arizona, and from ITV to the BBC.
Brits Abroad. That was the first time it ever been done to me.
Everything just gelled. Location, casting particularly, the theme tune. Wonderful.
The 4th series aired in 2004, but the story starts over 20 years earlier, when writers Dick Clement and Ian Lafrene got hold of the idea of Brickies Abroad. Regarded as local heroes in Newcastle, Clement and Lafrene had proved with the Likely Lads that they could create working-class characters who weren't caricatures.
Cigarette, Audrey?
No, thanks.
Why don't you come out with me? Why don't you come out with me?
Large one, sir? Mind your own business. Really?
Aided and abetted by the brilliant Ronnie Barker, Clement and Lafrene could also find comedy and unlikely settings, like Slade Prison in Porridge.
Prisoners 1, system 0.
You can make a direct connection between Porridge and Auf Wiedersehen, you know, where prison is obviously, again, a confined environment. The big difference was that Porridge was an out-and-out comedy series, and we never saw Auf Wiedersehen as a comedy series per se. We regarded it as a drama series in the 60-minute format.
But the original inspiration for Auf Wiedersehen Pet didn't come from the eventual writers, but from a BBC documentary filmmaker from Teesside, Frank Rodham.
I've always wanted to, you know, shed light on common experience. Actually, that's a quote from Trotsky, you know, but at the same time, it was also something that within the BBC that we felt, and also the class I come from, industrial working class from the north of England, I wanted our voices to be heard correctly.
We may also have Frank Rodham to thank for much of what modern television is up to, as he was the creator of the 1970s docusoap, The Family.
Now you stop being cheeky.
Auf Wiedersehen Pet was very much a television drama of its time. Life in Britain during the early Thatcher years was hard, and with unemployment running at over 2 million, there was a flexible labour market. If you wanted labour, you had to be flexible, and if necessary, be prepared to get on your bike.
I'd normally go back to the northeast and go drinking with my pals. They'd all disappeared. And what had happened is that they'd gone off to work in Germany. And I thought, wow, that's kind of wild. And then next time I saw them, they'd come back and they started telling me about their experiences.
Intrigued, Frank followed his Bricky pal Mick Connell to Germany and soon had an idea for a one-off drama. But it would have to be put on hold as he was about to direct a feature film. So it was Guten Tag to Quadrophenia and Auf Wiedersehen to Auf Wiedersehen.
What did you mean? What you doing here then?
But the Geordie bricklayers in Germany were never far from his thoughts. So after finishing Quadrophenia, Hodds replaced Mods, and Frank goes to Hollywood.
Yeah, you?
To get things moving. One of the movers and shakers he met there was Alan McKeown, who'd been a hairdresser to the stars before he set up a Los Angeles-based production company with Dick Clement and Ian Lafrene. The company, Wits End, masterminded ITV's post-war drama Shine on Harvey Moon, and McKeown & Co. were always on the lookout for new ideas.
I met with him, and he gave me one of those ideas that you just dream about hearing. Geordie bricklayers working in Germany. One line. And I just loved it.
We immediately kind of thought that sounded right up our street. Just instinctively we felt that was something we could do.
Ian was just besotted by the idea and said, look, I want to go and write this. I want to go home now and write it this afternoon.
And within half an hour, Ian came back to us and said, Auf Wiedersehen Pet. Just the greatest title.
It was now Alan McKeown's job to sell Auf Wiedersehen Pet as a one-off drama, but Central TV liked the idea so much they asked for a series of 13 episodes by Thursday. That put Frank out of the picture because of film commitments, so it was left to Frank's pal Mick Connell to accompany Witzend on another fact-finding trip to Germany in his role as technical advisor.
We got to Dusseldorf Airport and Mick was arrested because of some misdemeanors he'd committed when he was a bricklayer in Germany.
Gave it great authenticity, though, didn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Being arrested. You know, immediately thought, there must be a series here if this guy's been arrested.
A technical advisor.
So with Mick Connell's local knowledge, McEwan's media clout and Clement and Lafrene's scripting experience, the Bonnie lads were on the road.
Well, we started with the three Geordies. We started with the three guys leaving Newcastle together. And, you know, Neville was very much the one who was Mr. Responsible and Mr. Worry. I mean, he was always worried about money and who's paying for this.
Dearest Brenda, well, here I am in Holland, but it could almost be England, except we're driving on the wrong side of the road. When we read the scripts, all the Geordie Mafia were very keen to get into these scripts because we all hero worship Dick and Ian from the Likely Lads and things like that. And when we read them, the obvious part that everybody wanted was Oz. You know, everybody wanted to be Oz. And my wife said straight away when she read it, "You're not Oz. Go for Neville."
Before settling on acting as a career, Kevin Waitley had played it safe training as an accountant. He started with parts in cop shows like Juliet Bravo and Shoestring.
Great, thanks.
And Real Madrid had a home game on Sunday.
No thanks, I'll be at the bullfight.
Kevin also appeared in several BBC plays, including The Dig, before getting to use his own accent as Neville in Auf Wiedersehen Pet.
Dennis, man, I'm not a carpenter, man. Did you take woodwork at school? Well, yes, but I'm making a carpenter.
The second of the Geordie Mafia to clock in was Tim Healy, a former welder and paratrooper who had founded the Live Theatre Company with Kevin Waitley's wife, Madeline Newton, and Jimmy Nail's sister, Val McLean. Healy's television debut was as a bingo caller in Coronation Street, but he came to the attention of Clement and Lafrene when he tackled his first proper television drama role opposite Dennis Waterman in the World Cup A Captain's Tale.
Hey, did you hear what he called me? Called me a bastard. I don't give a bugger for Sir Thomas Lipton or his bloody trophy. I don't give a bugger for England. But I care for us, right? West Auckland.
They were all miners. So it was a great story anyway. Dick and Ian saw me in that, and then I got offered the part of Dennis in Auf Wiedersehen Pet.
Dennis was the one who was kind of Mr. Solid that everybody looked to for answers.
The rest of the lads want him to become this head figure. So he takes it on board, you know, because he hasn't got any choice really.
This group needs someone of your eloquence to lead them.
Harry.
Yes, Ralph. What about this?
But the part everybody was after was Leonard Jeffrey Osborne, known forevermore as Oz.
What's the collar?
Val McLean's brother, a builder with no serious acting aspirations, went along for an extra part and found himself in the running for Oz, even though his main performing experience was cavorting about the stage in the pub rock band The King Crabs.
You walked in and he was Oz. He just was. And that doesn't happen with casting very often. It gives you chills when it happens.
They looked at him and asked him if he'd done any theatre. He said, no, here at the theatre. Have you done any acting? No, I've never acted before, like, you know. Why are you here? I said, well, I've just come along and said you wanted extras.
I can remember saying to Martin McKean, well, what's this bloke, you know, done? He said, well, he was in a pop group called The Crabs, and he just got out of prison. So I said, he sounds perfect. So we brought this bloke down. He was sitting in the reception, and I can remember Hazel, my secretary, saying to me, there's a horrible man in the reception. I said, oh, that'd be that bloke that they think might play Oz. And she said, well, it's just horrible. So anyway, they brought in this bloke. It was Jimmy Nail. And he couldn't have been more charming.
Ah, bollocks, man!
He was one of those fantastic creations like Alf Garnett or Yosser Hughes or whatever. Just a huge comedy character that could say and do absolutely anything.
Thank you, friend.
And donkey shake to you too, pal.
Dennis and Neville would meet more memorable characters on their journey with Oz. The job of making Brummy Barry likeable as well as boring was given to Timothy Spall, who was proving to be the most versatile actor of the troupe. He'd worked before with director Roger Bamford in the Brill Cream Boys and appeared in Frank Rodham's Quadrophenia. As Wayne, ladies' man, Diamond Geezer and Ronnie Wood look-alike, Gary Holton had also been in Quadrophenia, but he was best known as lead singer of the Heavy Metal Kids. Another unusual piece of casting was Pat Roach, a former champion wrestler who'd appeared in A Clockwork Orange, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and had even auditioned for Darth Vader in Star Wars. The body, not the voice. He took the part of Brian Busbridge, better known as Bomber.
Your name's Bomber.
Which is the best hood, Bomber?
Oh, I take that. The other one's got all the turds in it. We calls it the Casbah.
Chris Fairbank was an experienced character actor, but he almost didn't get into the gang hut at all. Clement and Lafrene wrote the part of Moxie for a musician friend of theirs, but he chickened out and Fairbank stepped in.
Fella told me to come to up B. You sure he said up B? Oh, aye, yeah. I don't think so. Must be some mistake. Try the next one along.
I was recovering from being fired from the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Is it okay, like, if I leave my gear here for a minute? What?
The interview for Moxie was the straw that I clung to desperately, because I really thought I was never going to work again, having had a somewhat checkered career hitherto.
Moxie, again, was quite a peripheral character to start with and only got into the hut because he had a dartboard.
I haven't got any darts, though.
So now they gathered together the Magnificent Seven. Clement and Lafrene were playing to their strengths, men in confinement, almost like a prison, or, since they were in Germany, a prisoner of war camp.
And where is Rover? When we did find out from Mick that they actually lived in huts.
Still like 17 by the look of things.
With German bosses, we said it's a prisoner of war camp.
England has had a problem. They always are.
If there was no Herr Grunwald, there wouldn't have been a series, because he held it all together.
Michael Sheard's long career in film and television had included most of the Nazi high command, and his speciality was Hitler. So there were few better suited to play German site manager or camp commandant, Herr Grunwald.
Grunwald was a German, yeah? And it is much, much easier to be strict if you're talking with a German accent.
Another thing marking Auf Wiedersehen Pet as a different kind of show was its refusal to dilute thick regional accents.
I think it was the first time that any producers or directors had the balls really to make these characters completely real, and the fact that all of their accents were exactly what their accents would be like, you know, without softening it.
Still floating doing, is it?
Floating doing? Well, what's that supposed to mean then?
You know, high in a dune, man. Cats and dogs. It's pissing down, isn't it?
At least that's English.
People were saying to me, I can't understand what anyone's saying. And the worst offender, actually, was Jimmy Nail.
I have to say, in the first series, his Geordie was so thick that people said to me, I can't always understand it. And I said, no, I can't either.
You can't eat something and all, you know? Flattened her with a bomb and I wheel back on the Black Horse. Oh. Poor Sue's only lived out for a milk stout.
But it didn't really matter. It had a great authenticity.
Although writing regional dialogue was right up Clement and Lafrene's street, under the pressure of 13 episodes, they realised they were in need of some professional help, in the form of comedy writer Stan Hay.
I don't know who suggested Stan, but he was great.
They got a bit overstretched in terms of the writing. Dick and Ian were also doing Water at the time, this film with Billy Connolly. And they were doing 13 episodes. You know, in those days, it was a big commission.
You can blame Alan McEwen, because Alan McEwen went up and suddenly said, I've got an order for 13 shows, which was sort of unprecedented.
And it wasn't only the writers who were under pressure. The actors were too, working for months and months for long hours in hot claustrophobic conditions, and there was no escape from the hut.
You only see the 7 guys in there, but you've got 25 crew in there as well, so it was just exhausting.
When you got all the lights up in there, it was really claustrophobic and hot. So it was like an extra character, really. You really did feel that claustrophobia that the lads were going through.
We said, listen, when this series finishes, we're going to burn this hut down.
It's petrol! Hey, your bloody bike has been leaking petrol all over my home, you idiot.
So the actors were determined to see the back of it, and Stan Hay granted their wish in a memorably explosive finale.